Tonight, a conversation with Robert Rauschenberg. He is one of America's greatest living artists. John Richardson, the biographer of Picasso, describes Rauschenberg's achievements as a painter, a printmaker, a photographer, a sculptor, a theater designer, a performance artist, and a technologist as simply epic. Tonight, this program airs a conversation that took place in the fall of 1997 when an audience listened in at the Guggenheim's Peter B. Lewis Theater. We follow the conversation with a walk through the exhibition, joined by the artist at the Guggenheim Uptown. Robert Rauschenberg was born October 22, 1925, in Port Arthur, Texas, an oil refinery town on the Gulf of Mexico. Rauschenberg later studied at the Black Mountain College in North Carolina with legendary Bauhaus alumnus Joseph Albers, who became, in Rauschenberg's words, the most important teacher he ever had. After his first solo exhibition in 1951 garnered the respect of then popular abstract expressionist, Rauschenberg's career took off and continued to soar. Today, at age 72, he resides on Captiva Island, Florida, where he continues to work and live as an artist. You on this side. Okay. This is a great honor for me because of Bob and also to be here at this magnificent place. I'll tell you a little behind-the-scenes story as we begin. We're standing back and about ready to come on, and there is a big container there, and it has lights and things like that. And I grabbed Bob by the shoulder and I came over and I said, I look at this and I see television equipment. And you look at this and you see art. He said, no, I see the beginning of art. And the point is that you want all of us to look at what's around and see what?
I want you to feel at home.
Feel like?
At home, so that you're not living in an environment that you're not experiencing. And it's so easy to get accustomed to everything that's around you, thinking of it as just a utility or something that's invisible. And anything that can reflect light is of some interest.
Now see, here is what so many people say about your work and your life. There is a childlike enthusiasm, there is a joy, and that you approach things without a sense of risk. You're just on a journey.
I think that an awful lot of time is sort of consumed in apprehension and fear and worry that could be used in action. I'm not fearless,
yeah.
You know. You can scare me. You actually do.
I do. How about fun-loving? Is that a description of you? One who's enjoyed.
I don't separate that from just everything else. I mean, I don't do vacations, you know. I mean, my greatest joy is in working. That's when I feel a wholeness and a celebration of a unity with everything around me. And I feel at least self-conscious.
When you're working?
Yes.
And when did you discover art?
I always drew, but I always thought that everybody drew. And I was on every, in school, that was the only interesting thing that I did, is I was on every poster committee and, anything that had anything to do with creativity. Yeah. And, but in Port Arthur, you didn't have an idea that there was I mean, there was no such thing as an artist. Right. In those days, it was a well-known fact that if you're an artist, that you have to go to France.
Yeah. This is post-World War II.
And that's where I discovered that I was about 40-some-odd years late.
The artist had left, or?
Well, they were doing sort of Freudian, Jungian dissections of great works. And they were doing lousy Picassos, lousy Legers, and I had to find out about them. I did go to all the museums I could get into. I got so carried away physically and painting with my hands. I didn't even want it's a little neurotic, but you know, I didn't even want the brush to come between me and the image. And I was wearing paint rags. And I knew that this was a smart move. I realized that if I had stayed with this kind of obsession of, you know, that I wasn't going to learn anything, I wasn't going to develop. And my girlfriend said who became my wife, Sue Weil, that she was going to Black Mountain College, and I had read about it in Time magazine about the world's greatest disciplinarian in the arts, Joseph Albers.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's what I need, discipline. And
so
I got it.
And you got discipline there?
Oh, yes.
How did you get?
I got discipline, abuse, ridicule. He was good.
You consider him one of the most influential figures in your life.
Actually, he was so clear in his direction that I was able to, by contrast, really figure out what I was. Actually, the white paintings came out of the Albers' frustration. I wanted to push painting as far as I could physically imagine it. And but they didn't really succeed because there's one thing that I could not eliminate, and that was size. And if you have size, you have proportion. Yeah. And if you have size and proportion, and white is a color, then you have a painting. I mean, you have an academic work.
You know what some people said when they saw the white painting?
I've heard some.
One said, what does he think he is doing, trying to make it look easy?
Well, that's what they said about that's what de Kooning said about Barney Newman.
You once said, an artist has to start without any conceivable purpose other than curiosity and a sense of adventure. Not a good job, not a better life. I just do what I do.
Yes?
It's not a question, but
I think curiosity is probably the most important energy that any creative person can have.
Just to wonder why. Why not? What happened after Black Mountain?
Neither why nor why not.
Just to wonder. When did you meet Jasper Johns? What influence did you think you had on each other?
I think the main influence was that we were the only two people that were not trying to do abstract expressionism. We were the only two people doing something else. And so, you know, I mean, We were both an audience of one to each other's work.
A great friendship.
Oh, very. It's and I think that the thing that made us get along was the fact that we were so different ourselves. I would go out on the streets and get everything, and he would shut the windows.
Right, I got you.
But we had different studios, so that was all right, because I spent my time trying to mimic what I saw outdoors, and he tried to create what he felt in his head. I mean, I was very tempted to work like de Kooning.
How's that?
I would have loved to have done Rothkos, you know, and Pollocks, but my respect for their view, I mean, that was them. And I think that, you know, if there's a legacy, I'm very happy that I can have as enviable point of view as these people that I love so much.
Here's what John Richardson said about you. He said, he's the only artist of our time who continues to address major themes of worldwide concern without bombast or cant or an aesthetic or political agenda, and who so, by utilizing technology in ever more imaginative and inventive ways, always blessed with the incomparable advantage of an innocent eye. Does that sit well with you?
Sure.
Do you see that? I mean, when you see these things that people write about you in terms of the impact.
I see it with the innocent eye.
The other thing Richardson said, what caught my eye, was that you're the painter of history and the history of now. I mean, you have always been that. Now.
Oh, that's my major influence.
When did you have the battle with alcohol?
Well, I'm still having it. You think I like Diet Coke?
No, it does.
I'm iced tea up to here.
When did you stop drinking?
I guess it's a little over 2 years ago now. I went to Betty Ford's.
You finally said, this is out of control.
I was dying.
Was it making a difference in your art?
Actually, it didn't. That's what was so deceptive about it, because I wasn't a mean drunk, but when my health started falling, then I knew that there was more coming out than going in, except for the alcohol.
And how do you feel today, other than not liking Diet Coke so much?
Oh, I feel great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm much happier.
Happier?
Yeah. Well, if you're drunk, you hate yourself too.
Because you're drinking, or because something else is driving you?
It's depression, I think.
Depression.
Yeah. And then you drink to get over the depression, and then you drink because you're drinking. And
what were you depressed about? I mean, this has been a great
life.
It
causes depression. It's a chemical thing. Well, it's hard to feel good about yourself, if you can't live without a drink.
Yeah.
What was this show supposed to be about?
Well, you. Let me talk about this exhibition and what you want to come away. But you said an interesting thing. You said something like, you know, I want to talk to the guy who did all this.
I do feel detached, but that's mostly because I have a sense when I'm working well that I'm invisible. Well, I don't have anything on my mind when I go to work.
Then what guides you?
A lack of purpose, probably.
So it's just happening. You don't know.
Well, it doesn't happen if I don't do it, but you know, it's
Have you ever had it? Go ahead. Are you thinking? Have you ever had anything like the equivalent of writer's block?
No.
Never a point where you could pick, there was no art for you to create. There was nothing you could do.
No, then you just do something else.
Okay, so.
And it is art or it's not art. It doesn't matter.
It is art or it's not art.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference.
You do, I don't.
If someone would come here, no matter how much they knew, whether they knew a lot about you or not much about you, just knew that Bob Rauschenberg was a great American artist, what would they understand about you from this exhibit and from these works of art?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Really
and even if you and I walked through this, you couldn't look at it and say, or it's uncomfortable to say that this says, you know, I mean, who was it?
I don't know. We'll just have to try it.
We will. Thank you very much.
I don't rehearse.
Nor do I. Thank you. Great to see you. Thank you very much. A couple of days later, after our evening conversation, I met Bob Rauschenberg at the Guggenheim Museum uptown for a walk through the exhibition. Tell me about this room and what we're going to see.
Well, these are the glass works are the latest things that I've done. Yeah. And in fact, I hadn't even seen them assembled until we got them in the room.
Why did you turn to glass?
The fragility, the ghostliness of it. I wanted solid objects to be represented in a more ephemeral
Talk to me about this.
Medium. This is autobiographical.
That could be you.
That is me.
No.
Oh yeah. And that's my studio there, and that's my mother and my father and myself on the bayou. And the circle of information is a kind of a chronology up till that moment that it was finished. There's not much process there. It's a
concept.
litho, and I thought I would start with 3 circles,
right,
and work out from there. And the top circle is obviously has to do with early, and that has to the center panel has to do with life activities, and this is covers romantic intentions.
Romantic intentions. Let's go to the next.
Okay.
Go to the next room. What are we going to see here? I love this, as a matter of fact.
I don't know why this is still untitled, because I like titling things, because it's sort of the thing that sort of wraps it up.
Yeah.
It's like it's
like tying a bow. And
well, this is a series of available materials, some approached with nostalgia, and some just by sheer accident. The chicken I came upon as an accident, and thought, why not? And the shoes were mine, were worn out, and but I think the interesting thing about this piece is it's the first piece that substantially moved away from the wall.
yeah. Who's the photograph?
I don't know, but it was the right scale.
Yeah. Where are we going next? What shall we see next?
I guess the goat's the next one.
The goat.
There's a interesting aspect of the monogram here, and that is that how I found it. I was the goat, that is. Everything else is obvious how I found it. But the goat was in a used furniture office supply window. And so one day I just, on a whim, I just went in and asked if the goat was for sale. And he said, well, I can't let you have it for less than $30. And so I had 15 with me, so I paid down and took it and told him I would come back with the other 15. And it took me about 2 months to get an extra $15. Yeah. And I went back, and the place had gone out of business. So I always think that one of these days he's going to pick up a magazine. He's going to, I don't think he'd be coming to the museum, but he's going to see it, and he's going to recognize it as his, and he's going to ask me for the other $15.
That's great. This is what stuns me, Bob. It is the fact that you are, how many areas of exploration there are for you. Whether it's technology, whether it's performance, whether it's painting, whether it's sculpture, what am I leaving out? Silk screens, photography. You are pushing here and pushing here and pushing here.
I'm hungry.
Hungry to know, hungry to feel, hungry to...
Insatiable curiosity about everything that I am unfamiliar with. And at the beginning of all these things, I was unfamiliar with them.
Isn't everything that an artist does about himself?
I'd like not to think so. It of course, has you, but it isn't you. And we were talking about like a Jasper Johns and myself, and what it was that isolated us from everybody else. Both of us were appalled by what was going on, the emotional climate, and the angst. Angst was very important. Freud was very important in art. And both of us were absolutely clean of that, and were embarrassed by the notion that art would come out of pain, and suffering would make better art than joy. And we were a two-man united front.
Great to have you in this gallery, Guggenheim Retrospective, 1997. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us, Robert Rauschenberg at the Guggenheim. See you next time.